please understand that yes, sex like food is very, very important for men. But this is only on the physiological realm. Please know on the spiritual realm, on a deeper level, those three things that we discussed, even more important to a man. And so with regards to sex, please know that there's three different categories. People with a low sex drive, high sex drive, and then there's 3% of people who have no sex drive at all. They're not impotent, they just don't have a sex drive. And there's less than 1% of people who have a very hypersexual drive, who need sex not every day, but several times a day. They're also very rare. Now, when you're dating, it is important at some point to discuss this. Because imagine that you have a low sex drive and you're dating a man with a high sex drive, or you're this 3% that have no sexual drive, and you somehow attracted the person who has hypersexual drive, who needs sex several times a day. It's a deal breaker. And so you cannot have sex if you don't want it. It is obvious. But at the same time, if you know that your man wants to have sex every day and you want to have sex only once a month, it's also a deal breaker. And that's where there has to be a balance. You gotta talk to a man. How many times a week would you like to have sex ideally? And let's say he says 5 times a day, and you know that you like to have sex only once a week. What do you think there should be a solution?
Another one.
What is that?
Another one. Or like 3 times a week?
Yes, and either next man, because it's a really doesn't match, because you just want to have really only once a week, and it's important for him to have 5 times a week. But please know that there's other ways to please a man, not just to have a sexual actually intercourse, right? Or negotiating it to 3 times. At the same time, I would also like to talk about something that modern society doesn't talk about. Originally, what was the sex was meant for?
Have kids.
Exactly. To continue our family. And that's how a woman's body is designed. She has sometimes a little belly to protect her when she's gonna have a baby, because he's gonna be kicking. She has a breast to feed the baby. The way her face is, the way her body is curved, it's all gentle and feminine, all made to be a who?
Mother.
Exactly, a mother. But somehow, in the modern society, we turn sex into what?
Like a recreational activity.
Exactly. Into recreational activity for enjoyment. And psychologists proved that less sex is actually better than having a lot of sex. And men don't know that. They're thinking that sex is so available, they jump on the porn, they please themselves, and then as they're changing women or they go to porn, it creates more psychological damage than having sex only once a month or twice a month. But at the same time, this has to be verbalized with your man. Would you be willing to have sex only once a week? So he knows going into engagement and marriage that this is what your sexual drive is. Or you renegotiating and saying, well, how about 2-3 times a week instead of 5 days a week? That has to be discussed. Otherwise, this is going to be very unhappy man. And at the same time, we need to understand the man's psyche about sexual drive. If we ever watched porn or understand what porn is about, after 16 seconds, a man has intercourse with a woman. After 5-10 minutes, this ends, and there's the director, actors, and producers, and end. For a woman, if there would be a porn movies, really, it would start at 8 a.m. with kissing, touching, talking, and more kissing, undressing and dressing, and there will be this breakfast and this cherry and this pie and looking in the eyes, and in the evening there will be more dinners, dressing and undressing, and no sexual course yet, no, just kissing and just touching and massaging, and there's certain lights and there's certain music, And maybe after long kissing there's an intercourse, and after intercourse she's sleeping on his shoulder or laying down, and then they're drinking maybe coffee, or maybe they're chatting and talking again, or maybe eating croissant with the cheese and listening to music, and he tells her about the poetry and how beautiful her eyes is, and then she's falling asleep. And of course a man, he would not be interested in this kind of porn, and he would not purchase it. And that's why women are now compromising, thinking I gotta be his fantasy, because men are purchasing their fantasy of this 5-10 minutes porn, when in reality for us it's a completely different day to how to get to sexual intimacy. And guess whose duties is it to get men educated how he can get to sleeping in bed with you at night if he really wants to?
Woman duty.
Yes, but it works. Because in order to turn on a woman, there gotta be a lot of connection, a lot of talking, and there's massages, and there's certain points. And not just, okay, take off your pants, done. That doesn't work. What is there for you, ladies?
Yeah, I totally agree. And so pity that they don't have this porn for women, how to educate men. And this is how it's supposed to be. Women all the time learning, growing and everything. Men, they think I'm perfect.
Yeah.
And this is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. He looks at you. His penis is up. I'm sorry, excuse my language. I'm ready to go. We don't work like that. And it's up to us to educate. Please know that when a man pleases a woman her way, a man and a woman really enjoy sexual intimacy. If it's done his way, she is not fulfilled, and he's not fulfilled either. He just comes. But he doesn't have this kind of orgasm. So if you teach your man what and how to perform and what you need, you will be, wow, and he will experience the same way. But he cannot read your mind. Only you know those points and how he needs to talk to you, how he needs to text you, how he needs to smell, and what kind of music, and what kind of lighting, and how to touch you, and all of that. Or it has to be at a certain hour, because I make love from 10 a.m. to noon, and from 8 p.m. till 10 p.m. This is my hours. After 10 p.m., I fall asleep. I'm too exhausted. Before 10 a.m., I have to actually fully be in the zone. And so my man knows 4 hours. 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening. Nothing in between. And you have your hours as well. He needs to know. He knows 10:05? No, there's no way. My brain is too tired. Any questions about that?
I guess my question is, how do you navigate, because I definitely see how, over time, a woman's libido kind of goes down.
Yeah.
But a man's doesn't. So I guess just over the course of, a long-term, relationship, marriage, I guess what's kind of the best way to navigate that?
Gabby, I will tell you a secret that men don't share it. Men's libido goes down as well. Their mind thinking that they want to, but at some point in their 40s, their sexual drive goes down as well. In their mind, they think they're still active like in their 20s, but physiologically, no, they don't have that energy.
What if it's the opposite? What if you have a higher sex drive than he does? How do you kind of navigate that without being in a way that they might find be criticized by it?
I would say that 99% of men will be very attractive to that. Very few men would be frightened by that, let's be honest. But if that's the case, that you have a higher sexual drive than your man, a woman is very easy to please. Very easy to please. And sometimes, please know, the same thing comes with men. You don't need actual intercourse. For a woman, he could be kissing and touching you, and let's be honest, wouldn't that satisfy you?
No, that would be That would be fine.
Yeah, unless if that is the case, let's say you do need 5 days a week, let's say, an intercourse, sexual intercourse, then you talk to a man. No, at some point when you get closer to engagement, right? You do communicate that. And you find out, does he have the high sexual drive? Because again, a low sex drive, let's say you want sex 30 days a month and he wants once a month, it's a deal breaker. Somebody gonna be dissatisfied. And it's okay to communicate that. But I will tell you, the problem is also with the sex in our modern society. In the reality, people have sex less than 4% in the relationship. But please think about it. The porn industry, the movie, the music, it's all about sex. It's oversold to us. 96% of the time is you're eating, sleeping, working, cooking, providing, taking care of kids, communicating. And only 4% you actually for 10 or 15 minutes have sex. But look how much attention we're putting that in our modern society. Now, please understand, if we're overeating whenever we want to and pigging out, drinking alcohol, eating sugar, we're gonna gain weight. It's a problem. Same thing with sex. If we're overdoing it, it's a problem as well. Because sex is not designed, again, for enjoyment. And we're really far away from what sex really is. To a man, if you don't have sex with a man, and if you reject him, he feels it personally, that you don't love him. And with women who have high sexual drive, and man doesn't want to make love to, she feels the same way. And that has to be communicated.